Welcome to Upside Down Influencer, where we talk about the things we see on social media and how we, as Christ followers, can do them differently. I'm your host, Jessica Johnson, and today I am joined by Cory Sims, a contestant that made it to the final two on Beast Games, the massive competition series by Mr. Beast. If you're not familiar with Mr. Beast, he's one of the largest content creators in the world. I'm talking millions and millions and millions of followers. If you don't know him, your kids probably do. He's known for doing elaborate challenges and giving away life-changing money. The best way that I can describe Beast Games is that it's a massive social experiment, and the grand prize was $5 million. And Cory Sims came incredibly close. He was one out of 400,000 applicants. There were 200 people that were on the show. He made it to the final two, which means he in fact did not go home with $5 million. The way he lost with such integrity and honor blew me away. What Cory learned from one of the biggest disappointments and opportunities of his life. What he's going to do with this new platform moving forward. Here's my conversation with Cory Sims. Welcome to Upside Down Influencer, Cory. I am honored to have you on.
It's an honor and a blessing to be here. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
It's wild because I literally just got done watching you. What am I stepping on? Sorry, hold on. I'm stepping on paper. I literally just got done watching you on our television a few days ago, and now I'm talking to you. So this is wild. Very exciting
Absolutely.
for me.
Very exciting. Absolutely.
So for people who don't know you, can you give us a 30-second overview, just a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So I was born in California, raised in Buffalo, New York area. Joined the Navy after completing about 2 years of college and did about 8 years in the Navy. Traveled all over the world. It was a great experience. Taught me so many different things about, discipline, perseverance, going through that adversity and stuff like that. And then got done with the Navy. Met my wife. I have three boys, and they're blessings. My wife is a blessing. She's a God fearing woman, so it's just amazing. And I got the amazing opportunity to go on Beast Games season two. By the grace of God, I made it on there, and it was just it was truly amazing experience. And I'm so grateful. I'm so happy to be here right now.
That must feel like it was kind of a long time ago for you, or does it, or because there are still people like myself doing podcasts and things like that, does it still feel like there's momentum, or is it feel like it was a long time ago?
It still feels like there's momentum, definitely. It was just one of those things where basically we filmed it June, July timeframe, and then it didn't air all the way till January. So that time in between was like, that was a long wait time. And then obviously once it started airing and stuff like that, I started doing all these podcasts and interviews and stuff like that. It's just been truly an amazing adventure.
Yeah. Can you describe to people what Beast Games is exactly? Because I'm going to do my best in my intro to describe it to people, but you probably have a better idea of how to explain what it is.
Absolutely. So Beast Games is an amazing competition. Jimmy Donaldson, most famous YouTuber there is, 400 and I don't know, 58 million subscribers now. I don't even know what it's at. But he built this competition game show where there is usually about 10 episodes a season. We did season two. Season one was obviously last year. And it's this competition show where it puts you in an environment where it's going to test you, it's going to challenge you mentally, physically, emotionally. You basically cut out contact with the outside world. You have no cell phone, you have nothing, no contact with the outside world. You're just isolated inside this game show. And once you're inside it, it's just this amazing thing. I mean, you meet these people that you just met them, but you have nothing else to do other than talk to these people. So you gain this amount of trust, this relationship that you build inside of the game. It's just something that it's unheard of. And basically, you go throughout the game show and stuff like that. You build alliances. Obviously, you have enemies, people out to get you, and stuff like that. And it's kind of one of those things where it's a social experiment. Jimmy Donaldson put people in an environment. He presents them in a situation, maybe be a challenge, maybe mentally, physically, and stuff like that. And then he just lets the cameras roll and see what happens. And then obviously, some people they choose to be the good person, do the right thing. Other people they choose to do the wrong thing, and it's one of those things where it's just like real life. I mean, people are given choices. You either make the right decision or bad decision, depending on how you look at it. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like they took the outside world, put it inside a game show, and then basically you watch it unfold in real time.
And for the grand prize of $5 million. That's the
Absolutely.
kicker. Yeah.
Absolutely. Life
Yeah.
changing money.
Well, I read your book. I read the whole
That's
thing
awesome.
in
Thank you.
24 hours. Okay. So that's a big
That means a
deal
lot
because
to me.
I have a baby and a toddler and I cranked through it in 24 hours.
That's
Um
awesome. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. It was really good and I
I
loved seeing
appreciate
and
it.
hearing the behind the scenes of everything. Can you describe to people the moment that you decided to apply? I found that very interesting.
Absolutely. So it's one of those weird things, even when I discovered Beast Games, because me, I usually don't have time for TV, especially reality type TV. I definitely, never been into it really that much or anything like that. But then one night I was sitting at my desk doing some work on the computer and stuff like that. And I hear this loud voice from the other room coming from the TV. Me and my wife are very careful about what we put on the TV for our kids because there's so many TV shows, cartoons, everything has subliminal messages in it now. It's kind of like you got to really be careful what your kids watch. So when I hear somebody yelling in the background, I'm kind of like, wait a minute, what are the kids watching now? So obviously I walk out in the room. They said, "Oh, I just came on after our other show, Daddy. I'm so sorry." And then I look at the screen and it's like just these towers of just 1,000 people, these blue jerseys, all these colors, and just it's like, wait a minute, what is this? And then next thing you know, I'm sitting down on the couch watching all my three boys. My wife joins us, and it's just like every week we're just like, wow, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? Then you obviously start cheering for people and stuff like that, rooting for people, and it was just crazy. So when all that stuff happened, I kind of thought to myself, what if I went on the show? And I never thought about going on Survivor or anything else like that before. It's kind of one of those things where I'm. It's completely out of my comfort zone. Completely out of my comfort zone because I'm not the type of person that likes to be in front of the camera. I don't like public speaking or anything like that. But the Lord has an interesting way of doing things because my wife has prayed and prayed and prayed for a long time for me to be, an evangelist and go and preach the gospel and stuff like that. And I always told her, no, I don't want anything to do with it because I don't like going on stage and speaking and stuff like that. And now my wife got her wish because here I am, doing podcasts, going to churches, different events, conferences, and it's just like the Lord, He works in mysterious ways.
Truly, yes. And I think it's important for people to understand how rare it is that you got this opportunity because it's there. You said you were one of 400,000 applicants, and they only chose 200 people to be on this show. And you didn't even know that it was going to be only 200 people until you were on the show. And that's when it dawned on you like, whoa, this is insane that I'm even here.
Absolutely. It's such a small percentage that to even get on the show. And then what was even more remarkable, God's divine hand, is that I made it through the normal channels, through the application process, the interview process, stuff like that. And then, like, basically 2 days after I did my Zoom call, I get the email from Feastables, the sweepstakes, where I also submitted entries and stuff like that. Because I said, I'm getting on one way or another. And I kept saying it over and over again to my kids, hey, Daddy's going to Beast Games. He's got to have that mindset that you're going to do it. And then next thing you know, I got the email from Feastables saying, hey, congratulations, you made it on to Beast Games season 2 through the sweepstakes. It's God's perfect plan.
Wow. I have to ask because you were on the strong team. This episode or this season of Beast Games was smart versus strong. What was like your because you're obviously strong. Like I can tell just by looking at you. But like what was your claim to fame?
So me personally, my military background and stuff like that. Even before that, I played college football. So it's always been in my blood just to always be, physically fit, always working out, always in the gym and stuff like that. And then they kind of give you the choice. They said, hey, if you want to be, towards the smart side or the strong side, but you have to pick one of the sides. So obviously, I'm gonna rather go with my strength versus, mental aptitude because the people that were on the mental side or the intellect, the intelligence side, the smart team. I mean, you had rocket scientists, people that worked at NASA, Blue Origin. I mean, it was just people that went to Harvard. Like, I couldn't compete with those people. Forget it.
Wow, that's so funny. Something that I think is just wild and so unique is that you said you didn't have communication with the outside world. So that includes your family, your wife. You didn't have your phone for what? How long was it? Like 42 days ish?
Yeah, so 42 days you're outside contact with the world is nothing. It's just one of those crazy things.
Tell me what that's like. I mean, there had to have been an element of freedom to that because there's no other time you're really allowed to do that except probably if you were serving in the military, and that's probably the closest example. Most people probably don't get to experience what that's like. Do you feel like when you got came back to real life that you had a different relationship with your phone?
Absolutely. It's one of those things where you have it 24/7 and it's with you, and then when you get taken away, it's honestly it's like a liberation from technology. It really is. It frees you, it frees your mind, and that's why inside the game you're able to build these connections, these relationships so strongly because you really have nothing else to do other than talk with the people that are there. So it's kind of one of those things where you feel great without a phone. You really do. The only caveat to that is with me and my family, my boys and stuff like that, it really made it very difficult to not be able to talk to them at night, not to be able to tell you, hey, I love you guys. That was the most difficult part of it, honestly.
Was there anything that well, because you didn't know how long you'd be gone, you could have came back right away, I guess.
A- Absolutely.
Do they ship people back in groups, or was it like once you're gone, they just fly you individually back home?
So basically, once you get eliminated, there's a whole elimination process, stuff like that. You go to a debrief and everything like that, and then they just start like booking the flights and stuff like that, and flying people out as they go.
Okay. Yeah. So when you got onto that plane, you had no idea if you were going to be home soon or if it was going to be an entire month. And for you, it was literally an entire month and then some.
Yeah,
Man,
absolutely.
that would have been hard as a parent. But again, like what a unique experience that you got to be a part of.
Absolutely. I give my hat off to my wife, honestly, because she's a rock star. She held the three boys, took care of everything around the house, everything without me. And man, she's my rock, honestly.
Mm.
I have so much respect for her, so much love for her. Just bearing, three boys, pregnancy, and stuff like that. It's just, I have so much respect for my wife and just women in general who have kids and everything.
Man. Were you guys married when you served in the Navy?
So that's the thing. So I met my wife after I served. So at least
Okay.
during my military experience, I didn't have to go through the whole process of being away from my kids and pregnancies and birthdays and everything. Like a lot of the people that I was serving with, I mean, you would hear all the time, hey, it's my son's birthday today. And then what even worse was when, hey, I'm having a daughter. She's being born right now. Unfortunately, I can't be there. It's tough situations. That's why I have so much
Yeah.
respect for our military people.
Yeah, mad respect for them. My husband, he got out of the Navy in our time together, but it was pre-kids. Okay, so you were number 191. What is the significance? What was the significance of that to you in regards to Psalm 91 that you clung to?
Absolutely. It's a crazy story, actually. Psalm 91 has always been my favorite psalm, favorite scripture out of the entire Bible. Same with my wife; she loves Psalm 91 as well. Um, and by the grace of God, he obviously you have 200 numbers to choose from, and by the grace of God, all the strong people were either from 100 all the way up to 200. So, or 101 to 200 or something like that, whatever it was. But for the fact that I got 91, 191 out of all the numbers was just like, it was like this surreal feeling. And when I was in the hotel room and I finally noticed like the backpack sitting right there, I'm laying on my bed and I'm just kind of like looking at it like, wait a minute, that's 91, 191. Oh my gosh, Psalm 91. I'm like jumping up in joy. I'm like, wow, God really has planned me to be here. This is divine. I know that everything is going to be okay. Everything's going to be well just because, Psalm 91 is all about that protection, the spiritual protection, emotional, mental, everything. It's all about God just keeping you under his wings and protecting you the whole way. And that Psalm, when I was in the city, I would always read the Bible. Before I went to bed, I would always read Psalm 91. When I wake up in the morning, I do the same thing. I'd read Psalm 91. So it's always just in my head the entire time throughout the entire competition.
Hmm. Wow. Well, I learned from reading your book that before every competition or event, I don't know what you would call it,
Every
like,
challenge.
yeah. So I learned during your book that before every challenge, you would pray. And what's significant about that to me, I mean, obviously prayer is significant, but that you actually physically would kneel when you did it. Why was it important to you that you did that? Because you could have just prayed to yourself, said a little prayer in your head. What was the meaning for you that you actually physically took the time to kneel?
For me, it's a sign of absolute respect and surrender to our Lord Jesus. Just getting on one knee and just saying, "Hey, Lord, I know you have me. I know you're going to protect me." And even as a child, when I used to play sports like football and stuff like that, I would run, I would score a touchdown, and I would get down on one knee and I would say, "Thank you, God." Like it was just one of those things that I always did. And even in Beast games, you can't go away to your private place to pray and and seek guidance. Obviously, you do that before you even walk out of the pod and before the challenge starts, but when you're at a challenge, it's kind of one of those things you can't get away from it. So it's kind of like, all right, I'm going to go on one knee right here. I'm going to say my prayer. And at the end of it, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get on my one knee. I'm going to say my prayer and say how grateful I am for the experience that he has blessed me with.
What did people think when they saw you did do that?
Um, that's the interesting thing about it. Most of the contestants that were there had some type of relationship with Jesus. And there's also even like other religions there too. We had some people that were Muslim and stuff like that, and they'd be praying and stuff too. So it's kind of one of those things where everybody respected each other, everybody respected each other's religion. And it was just it's truly amazing, honestly.
My husband, when he was in the military, something that was really it really stood out to me that he said, he's like, I really tried to like capitalize on my time with people because their mission could change, they could be flown out tomorrow and go somewhere else. And so he always tried to make the most of every moment. Was there a similar feeling of urgency of I want to demonstrate Christ while I'm here in this moment that I have, because I might not see these people tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. I think there's always a sense of urgency with any Christian that we want to share and spread the gospel because we don't want people to be spending eternity in hell. So for me, an interesting thing, like I had lots of conversations, stuff like that, sidebars, and with conversations with people about my religion and stuff like that. We had a lot of testimonies being told and stuff like that. But one thing that really stood out in my mind was when we were sequestered into our pod. All the guys were sequestered in theirs, all the girls into their pods and stuff like that. Because of a thunderstorm that was coming through, it was North Carolina. There was storms all the time. We had to delay filming and stuff like that. But this specific time, it was so crazy because we're all sequestered in there. We're all just sitting in our bunks, just hanging out, talking. I'm just sitting there flipping through the Bible, reading certain things from it. And then somebody says, "Hey, read me Psalm 23." Oh, okay. I start reading it out loud to everybody. And then somebody else from far over in the corner, "Hey, read me Psalm 34." And I'm like, okay, let's go to that one. So it was almost like this little Bible study inside Beast City. And it was just truly, truly amazing.
Wow. And nobody else can say they've ever done something like that. That is so cool. And were the people that were chiming in believers, or were they just kind of like, let's hear this?
No, absolutely. That's the thing about it. So, like I said, most of the contestants on there were all believers. Um, some people they don't voice their opinions much and stuff like that, which I completely respect that. I mean, everybody is different in their own way. For me, I'm gonna be shouting from the mountaintops to the day that I die how great Jesus is. So for me, it's always gonna be like that for me. And it was one of those things where a lot of the people were Christians, so it's just truly truly amazing.
Why is it like that for you?
For me, it's kind of one of those things where just what you said, the urgency. Um, Jesus is coming back, and by the
Yeah.
looks of things right now, he's coming back soon. So for me, it's kind of like we got to try to save as many people as we can at this point.
Hmm. I don't remember if you said this in your book, but I definitely know that this is just how you lived on the show, is that like your integrity wasn't for sale. And what was that like? Were there ever moments where you were you were close to compromising your values? Because what people that are listening might not understand if they haven't watched the show, which I'm hoping they go back and watch it, that there are moments that until that money is in your face, whether a bribe can be taken, things like that. A lot of people don't know how they're going to act. They'll say, I'm not going to bend. I'm not going to have this opportunity. I'm not going to steal this money that also potentially could be shared with a lot of people. Was there ever a moment for you that you almost caved?
Yeah, so integrity is a very interesting thing. For me, it's always been about doing the right thing. Just in every part of your life, always try to do the right thing. For me, it's always that God is always watching me. He's watching all my actions. So for me, I'm going to do everything and anything to make sure that I please Him, most importantly. And for me, there was an opportunity where, well, there's a bunch of opportunities where I could have caved on the basketball court. I could have took more money than what I did, but obviously I felt in being fair to the people behind me, so I took the amount split by the amount of people behind me. So it was one of those things. But when I got to Saudi Arabia, we were doing the soccer ball challenge, where basically we were kicking our soccer balls at each other's hearts until two hearts were broken. Right from the beginning, Hannah was on my side over here, and I told her, "Hey, I'm not going to go after you, Hannah." So I gave her my word that I wouldn't go after her because, number one, I didn't feel right going after her. She was the only girl that was left on the episodes, so I didn't feel right going after her. And then also, I gave her my word that I wasn't going to go after her. And also, the fact that she was right next to me, if I would have tried even kicking the ball at her heart, I might have just kicked my own heart in the process and then eliminated myself, which would have been even worse. And then Brett was on the other side of me in the same situation with him. And then Brett was my number one alliance anyway. So I just kept kicking the other direction and stuff like that. But you could feel the pressure like coming from all the other contestants. Hey, start kicking it at Hannah, start kicking it at Hannah. And you could feel that pressure like coming down. And it's kind of one of those things where, what do I do? I gave Hannah my word I wasn't going to do it. And then for a split second, I'm like, Hannah, I got to start kicking at your heart. And then, my conscience started eating away at me like as soon as I said it. So as soon as I said that, I'm like, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. Hannah, I'm not going to kick it at your heart. So obviously I just kept kicking the other direction and stuff like that. And there was even points where I would just tap the ball off the pedestal just because I didn't feel comfortable kicking the ball at anybody's heart. And yeah, in that game, there's a lot of pressure because every moment that I would take to kick the ball over, like just even tap it on the ground or anything like that, is another opportunity for somebody else to kick it at even Hannah's heart and hit my heart on accident. There was a lot of opportunities where that ball like flew right past my heart, and by the grace of God, I made it through that challenge. It was very, very tough.
And I'm trying to find the best way to describe it to people who may not have a clue of what you're talking about. They had these glass hearts that were, how many feet in front of you would you say what your heart was? It's hard to tell on the show. 20?
Yeah, it's probably 20 feet, give or take. It's
And
probably
how many
very tough.
contestants? There were 5 of you left at that point, or
So
6?
at that point, there was 6 of us.
Okay. So they're all lined up in a line, and then they have this glass heart that is assigned to them that is about 20 feet in front of them. And the contestants had they had the ability to take this soccer ball and eliminate their component by breaking their glass heart. And so that's what he's describing in this challenge. And that had to be really hard because there's only a few of you left. And it's like, shoot or get shot at.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Wow. Yeah. Gosh, that's hard. I want to talk about forgiveness and what that could have looked like. Because you probably had to walk through that a few times, but the time I can think of is you did have alliances. You had people that you were friends with. At least that's how it looked from my perspective watching the show. That you had alliances with and that you trusted. But there was a point where you guys were all buried underground and you had the opportunity to potentially win $100,000 each. There was a prize pool that people could go that I wish I could describe this as good as you can, but basically you were kind of backstabbed by somebody who could have shared the money. That money could have been split for everybody. You all could have walked away with $100,000 each, but you didn't. What did that feel like, and how did you walk through forgiveness, knowing that you still had to be around that person all the time? Because I'm sure you were able to get over it eventually, but you still have to, you're still living in this city, you're still in close proximity. That must have really hurt. What did you do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great point to bring up. So that was one of those challenges that was definitely a very difficult challenge. So even before we were buried and stuff like that, we had to choose a captain. Nick and Monica, they both stepped forward. They said they both want to be captains. So then it was up to us to vote and see who we are gonna choose as captain. Me and Brett were basically deciding vote of who was going to be the captain. And we already had an alliance with Nick, with Tyler, August, Jack. So obviously we were going to go choose Nick. And we also chose Nick because it was based on comments that were said previously inside the pod and everywhere else. He kept saying, hey, if they ever do a money split, we're all going to take $100,000, just like season one. We're all going to take $100,000 and everybody's going to be happy. It's going to be a great feeling. Everybody's going to be, it's going to be great. So obviously we chose Nick based on, what he told us. And then as it came down, Nick got to choose who he unburied first and so forth. So nine of us were buried. Nick unburied each of one of us. We would go up to the basketball court where they had $1 million stacked up. And then basically everybody got an opportunity to take as much as they wanted to take. And it's one of those things where people say one thing, and then when the money gets in front of their face, it's kind of like, wait a minute, you know, they they get tempted, and that's exactly what it is. It's temptation, and some people are able to withstand that temptation. Other people's fold. Unfortunately, Nick, as the captain, he took $250,000. It was very difficult to accept. When he unburied me, he told me right away, "Hey, I took 250,000." And at first, I was kind of okay with it because I was just glad to be unburied because we were sitting there literally like
Wait,
six, seven
I
hours.
need to know. Were you allowed bathroom breaks when you were buried? I thought
Oh,
about that the whole time.
that's the crazy part. So apparently, you could use the radio to get called up and go to the bathroom. I didn't know
Yeah.
that, and a lot of other people didn't know that either.
I
So
thought about that the whole I was like, I'm sure they were like, "Hey, I have to go to the bathroom."
yeah, some people did use the radio. They had to do number two.
Oh
Not gonna
my
say any
god.
names.
That's
The
hilarious.
rest of us, we used like bottles, bags, like whatever was in there to kind of, had to relieve ourselves. And it's kind of one of those things
No
where
way.
by this point we were filmed, 24/7 inside our pods everywhere. So at this point it was just like, hey, there's cameras everywhere. Who cares? I got to go to the bathroom. So
Was it
it's
hot
one
in
of those
there?
things. They had it like honestly they had AC running in there, oxygen running in there, so it wasn't as bad as you'd think it would be. It was one of those things where they make
Okay.
sure safety is like paramount for them. They make sure
Yeah.
everything is going to be safe for all the contestants and stuff. So
Wow, love that. Okay, so
absolutely.
yeah, so that must have really hurt. And because it's so easy as the viewer to, because for us, we're watching this back to back to back, everything happens really quick. But for you, this was your real life. And so you had an opportunity to potentially win $100,000, which is life changing money for a lot of people. Can you raise tons of debt? You could pay off your house or whatever you want to use it for. And somebody else took that. And that must have just been so hard. And I thought just the way that you lived your life on the show, you handled yourself so well. And I knew that you were a Christian just by watching you. And it wasn't even until, I mean, I think the last couple episodes I saw you kind of do one of these and like say thank God or whatever you had said, but it was before that. I was like, man, I would turn to my husband and said something about this guy. I'm like, he's giving Christian. I'm like, Jack, he's giving Christian. He seems like a Christian. And I waited. I didn't want to look you up yet because I didn't want any spoilers because I didn't know who won or anything. And so when the show was over, I was like, I knew it. I knew this guy was a Christian. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So
How
good.
much? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, to go back to your point about forgiveness. Yeah, it's one of
Yeah.
those difficult things. And so Nick obviously took 250. But what even hurt me even more was when we all got together on the basketball court. They pulled all of us together, and then basically said, "Hey, figure out who took more money than they were supposed to. Obviously, people started saying, "Hey, I took this, I took that," and then my number one alliance, Brett, who, man, that really, really hurt when he told me, "Hey, I also took 250," and I'm like, "Man, you met my three boys, you met my beautiful wife the night before all this, so you guys knew what I was fighting for. I was fighting for my kids. I'm fighting for my wife. I'm fighting for the homeless veterans out there. I wanted to start, actually, I did start a foundation for us, so it's actually everything works out great. But at the same time, they knew exactly what I was fighting for, and they still chose to take more money what they were. I mean, technically, what was supposed to be given to them. So it's one of those things that it really hurt me. And at the same time, I voiced my opinion. I told them how I felt. And afterwards, I know, like, as a Christian, we got to always forgive everybody, no matter what. You can't let that take root in your heart, and it'll choke your heart so quick that
Mm.
unforgiveness in people. So I knew I had to forgive them right away. So I told Nick and Brett, hey, that really hurt me. Obviously, I was upset about it, but I forgive you guys. I know you guys did what you had to do, and I left it at that. So it's one of those things where you always got to forgive people, no matter what.
Did it change your relationships moving forward, or were you still able to remain friends? Because you can still forgive people, but it doesn't mean that the relationship stays the same.
Absolutely. So it was even still, like, going forward, I still had an alliance with them. So it was one of those things where I forgave them. I still had my alliance with them, but the thought is always in the back of my head, like, you can't trust them 100% because they have already broken that trust. So it's one of those things where yes, they were my ally, but I'm always going to be, kind of second guessing what their intention is and what they're doing.
And it's hard because at the end of the day, there could only be one winner on that show. And
Absolutely.
so that's a tough line to walk. I can't imagine.
Absolutely.
I want to hear more about the cannonball story. I want you to describe that because I think it was a great analogy about being obedient when God tells you to do something. Could you dive into that a little?
Absolutely. So this episode, basically, Jimmy, Mr. Beast, hid 10 cannonballs all throughout the city. Whoever finds the cannonball gets to go blast the cannonball in the cannon, and they automatically get a trip to wherever they were going to fight for an island in a challenge over there.
To win an
So
island, so people
to
understand.
win
To
an
win
island.
and that was worth how much money? Over a
Uh,
million and something, right?
$1.8 million.
Okay, $1.8 million island.
So these cannonballs obviously were, very important. So obviously everyone's running and running and running, going all over. We basically tore that city apart. Like, I mean, the punching bags, people were like pulling the stuff out of the punching bags, seeing if it was in there. Like, we destroyed that city, so to speak, just to look for those cannonballs. It was crazy. But for me, I felt the leading, the Holy Spirit telling me, go. It's in the sand pit. Go dig in the sand pit. That's exactly what I did. I started digging the sand pit. I kind of looked on the ground for, what was a little bit of a bump or anything like that, which would show, hey, somebody was digging here and somebody put more sand on top of it or something like that. And I found a spot. I started digging and dig. I kept digging for a long time. And then all of a sudden, that second thought in my head, hey, it's probably not here. Go somewhere else. Of course, the enemy always trying to steer you in a different direction. And then, so I obviously leave. And the next thing you know, they said there was two cannonballs left. They're in the sand pit. Jimmy yells it over the loudspeaker. So everyone's truck.
Oh no. You there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Somebody was
Oh,
calling.
that's okay. So you were saying that everybody was running to the sand pits.
Yeah, everybody's running to the sand pits and diving in as soon as we can, going all over the place trying to find those cannonballs. And the crazy thing is, Katie, right next to the exact area where I was digging, like probably a foot over, she found one of the cannonballs. I was like,
Oh my
no, if I would have
gosh.
just listened to the Holy Spirit and stayed there and kept digging,
Mm.
I would have found a cannonball also. But at the same time, it's like you learn about obedience. You always got to do what the Holy Spirit tells you and don't second guess it. Don't think anything else. Don't think in the flesh. Just do exactly what the Lord tells you to do.
The beautiful thing about being obedient to the Lord when you hear his voice is that it helps you discern whether it's him the next time, right? You just become more attuned to his voice the more times you're obedient immediately. And you mentioned that in your book that you're like, okay, I am just going to listen next time immediately.
Absolutely. It's so important. Can't stress it
Yes.
enough.
Well, I want to do a side question before I jump to this one. How long did it take, like, per episode? Like, were things actually happening as fast as it felt on the show, or was it really a long, drawn out process when you guys were doing some of these competitions?
The whole filming process in general, it's a long process. I mean, even before I went in there, I'd never realized how long it actually takes, just to get prepared for the set, for them to build the set, to get all the communication equipment installed, the cameras. It's a long process. So in between like each challenge, I mean, sometimes we'd have 3 days between a challenge, sometimes 4 days, sometimes it all depended on when they would have it ready, and then other times uh, you know, rain delays, lightning, things like that happened as well. It's kind of crazy. So it takes a long time. It's very drawn out. Obviously, they have a tough job. I fully understand the staff, the production crew, everybody was just truly amazing. They were very, open arms. Everybody was very nice and kind, and they're great people. And they have a very tough job putting all that stuff together, and they're working long, long hours because some of the time, I mean, even from when we would get there to start filming, there would be, I mean, the one episode where we were buried alive, I mean, we went in there, I don't even know, probably 1 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was. We didn't even get out of there till like stopped filming until later in the day. So it was almost like a 17-hour like process, like just that one episode. It's crazy.
Wow. Well, you guys actually got to reap some of the benefits because I'm sure they learned a lot from the first Beast games and was like, this worked, this didn't work. I wish we did this better. This almost, I'm sure you guys actually got to feel some of the blessings that came out of the first Beast games because I'm sure the production crew and everybody learned a ton.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the bad thing about being the first. So at least we were the second. I'm sure the first season was probably even worse when it comes to the wait time and production and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get to the big kicker here. Um, some of the contestants that left much sooner walked away with a lot more money than you. How did you reconcile that? Was that hard?
Um, to be honest, some of it wasn't really that hard because some people they took the $100,000 bribe in episode, or I think it was 2 or 3, I can't remember at this point. And they stepped away, knowing that they're taking $100,000 guarantee, but there was also leaving the competition where they're missing out on a whole, journey, a whole adventure, a whole experience just by taking that $100,000. And it's kind of one of those things where you understand why people would do it because everybody has bills. They obviously want to walk away with something. The odds of walking away with $5 million is just so small. So obviously people are going to take the bribes when they come. But at the same time, they're leaving the show, they're leaving the competition, they're leaving the adventure. I mean, I got to we spent a long time in North Carolina. We went to Saudi Arabia. We rode around in Lamborghinis in Saudi Arabia. It was completely surreal. So for me, like the experience alone was it was wow. It was truly amazing.
And for people listening, in case I didn't say this already, I probably will in my intro, but he made it to the final two. So for a, a better perspective, I said that he was one out of 400,000 applicants. Then he was chosen to be, uh, there were 200 people that were on the show. And then he made it to the final two, which means he was not the winner of the $5 million. How did that feel? I mean, was that one of the hardest moments of your life?
It was extremely difficult. Honestly, it'll be the first to tell you it was tough. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it or anything like that. It's kind of one of those moments where at first I was in complete shock. It was one of those things where it's just I couldn't believe it. I really believed that I was going to win. I believed it in my mind the entire time, and through every single challenge, God kept, showing me and leading me and like having me pass these challenges successfully. and it just felt like his hand was pushing me the whole way. So when I got to the end and I didn't win, I was in complete shock, to be honest with you. And then, it kind of came to the realization that you got to be happy for Tyler at this point. I mean, this is his moment.
Mm.
He won. You got to show good sportsmanship and stuff like that. So you have to go over there and congratulate him. Tell him it's his moment. Be happy. This is all about you right now. This is a great opportunity for you. It was a great experience, and I truly was happy for him. And Tyler's a great guy. I even told him myself, if it's anybody that could have won other than me, I was happy that it was Tyler because he's a military guy, a family guy. He has two kids that are young. So for him to win, I was honestly happy that it was him. I truly was.
And that came across. It seemed so genuine the way that you congratulated him. I mean, I couldn't help but think about how there are people that lose a pickleball game and don't have that kind of integrity, and the stakes were much higher for you. I mean, wow. I mean, congratulations on the way that you handled that. And to be honest, that was the moment that was like the giveaway for me that you were a believer.
And I realize it now too. Like in the moment, I didn't realize it then. You think like, why did that have to happen? You kind of question things. Obviously, I didn't lose my faith because I know God exists. I know He loves me with all His heart, and I love Him with all my heart. I know that I have nothing to worry about, nothing to fear. But it's kind of one of those things where you kind of like ask Him and say, God, why did that happen? And he was kind of silent during that time, and it was kind of tough. I'll be honest with you. But after all the months well, I mean, when I got back from Beast Games, I started writing the book and stuff like that. And all those months of writing that book, because it was basically like 6 month time frame when I got to write the book between when we filmed and when it actually aired. During all those months, I really got to reflect and reflect on those emotions, reflect on the why of why everything happened the way it did and why God intended it to happen that way, because he opened so many doors that I could have never seen open, even if I would have won the competition. It's just like I've met so many great people. I've been on so many great podcasts. I've been on so many like adventures and experiences that I probably never would have went on had I not lost. So it's kind of one of those things where I see exactly why it happened. And I understand it completely now because so many people are going through tough times in life. So many people are going through difficulties, challenges. I mean, life's not easy. It isn't. And when people see somebody that goes through a situation, especially on TV, they see people go through those same exact trials and tribulations. They lose, but they still have a way of having that faith and keeping that faith. And now I see, God's calling on me in my life is to go out and inspire people with their faith, inspire people with hope, show people that, hey, you know what? Life is difficult, but you have to always, just trust in God. God is always going to be the one that will lead you. He will guide you, and He will always be there for you no matter what.
Wow. So in a way, like you were processing in real time. Like when you were writing this book, what you are reading here is what you were realizing that God was showing you along the way. Like I had mentioned before, I was able to tell you were a Christian just by watching you, even though there were edits that were made that they probably had you on camera at some point kneeling and stuff, and those didn't make the cut, but I was able to tell that you were a believer just by watching you. How would you encourage other people to live their lives in such a way that if somebody even tried to edit it out, that people can still tell you're a believer by the way that you live your life?
You got to be as bold as a lion. Go out there with your faith. Just don't be scared to share the word. Don't be scared to share the gospel. Don't be scared of what other people think. God has put you on this earth to preach about Him, to teach about Him, to bring that love and kindness into the world. That's what God came here for, to show His love, show His mercy on us. And for all the people that are going through difficult times and kind of stand back, kind of lukewarm Christians, so to speak, where they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to offend people or anything else like that. I say, no, you got to go out and preach the gospel. And if it offends somebody, well, they get offended. That's on them. That's not on you. But you know that you're doing exactly what God intended you to do and God planned for you.
Amen. Well, you now have a platform, and I don't know what your life was like before. I'm not sure if you had a social media following or anything like that. But once the show came out, people were looking you up, and you had a little bit of a following. And currently, as when I looked at it, you had about 50,000 followers. How do you plan on stewarding that following? And did that feel at all overwhelming when overnight people, millions of people that were watching the show knew who you were?
I had a little bit of following before Beast Game and stuff like that because me and my wife were doing real estate, and I would always do these crazy videos for real estate stuff like that. So one of those things. But yeah, like going on that game show, putting myself out there. Normally, like I said, I don't like doing any of that stuff. I'm very private. But now, like it brought me out of my comfort zone, brought me out of my shell, so to speak. So now it's just like I enjoy this. I like preaching the gospel. I like talking about God. I like talking about everything like this. I love inspiring people. So doing podcasts, interviews, and like even when I go out in public now, like it usually every single time I go out now, it's like I run into somebody. It's like, hey, you're Cory from Beast Games. Can I get a picture and stuff like that? It's one of those crazy things now. It's like I never expected any of this. It's surreal. It's surreal. But I will always give all the glory to God because God has truly just been amazing in my life.
So what are you building next? What are you doing next? What is, you know, what's the game plan for Cory moving forward?
This summer, I plan on doing a book tour, trying to hit 21 different cities throughout the United States this summer. Hopefully, about 2 to 3 month time frame. And I'm just going to go to different churches, conference venues, stuff like that, and just speak about my experience and relate it to how God has been here the entire time with me, the entire time.
If you could go back, A, would you do it all again? And B, is there any possibility of you being on next season of Beast Games?
Honestly, like I said, it was God's divine purpose to put me on Beast Games, and now I have this amazing platform to preach the gospel. So I would, without a doubt, do it again. Obviously, I would pray, seek His guidance first. If He tells me to go, I'm going to do exactly what He tells me to do. And for what was the other part of the question? Oh, am I going to be on season? Am I going to be on next season?
Yeah.
Uh, I can't say anything yet. We'll just have to wait and see, obviously, but we'll see.
That would be so cool. I really hope we get to see you back. And even if you don't get money again, I think the other contestants would really benefit from your wisdom. Kind of like how, just reading your book, that Jeff mentored you along the way, and having those pillars, I think, really help people get through the game.
Absolutely.
Well, where can people follow you, and where can people buy your book?
Well, people can follow me. My handles, usually most of them are always Cory.Sims191. Everybody can follow me on Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. You can find the book if you go to my Instagram profile, or if you just go on Amazon, you can find it right there. Just put it in the search engine. What 5 Million Can't Buy: Faith, Integrity, and the True Definition of Winning. And yeah, buy the book, join the experience.
All right. Well, this was great, Cory, and I'm so excited for people to hear your story.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Like I said, it's a true honor and a blessing to be on your podcast.
Thank you so much for listening. To follow along with us and to hear about other things that we're doing, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube.